present challenges for Australian school leaders is time. It's about how you can manage time, how you can potentially even discover a little bit of time. And we know that this is a big challenge because most school leaders tell me that if there was one omnipresent barrier to them being able to fulfil their cultural duties, to fulfil what is their purpose around building a really safe, a really relational school culture, it's probably just finding the time to do it. So what I want to do today is not pretend for a moment that I could impact the administrative load that you school leaders need to undertake. But what I want to do is say, with the work that we already are doing, with the work that we already have to do, could we for a moment say, is there possibly a better way? And I want to give you two key areas that I think could actually allow you to make or create a little bit of time that you could use for the benefit of working on the culture of your school. The first one is around the way that we tackle student behaviour infractions. We're often distracted and drawn away from more long-term and important work by the frequent prevalence of poor student behaviour choices, and what are we going to do about that? Unfortunately, our habit around what we're going to do about that is often influenced by the judicial system. Where in the judicial system, what we need to do is to investigate heavily. We need to launch what I sometimes call educational CSI, where we have to go back as far as possible to try and get a fullest picture as we possibly can about what has happened, so we can make decisions about who's to blame and what punishment needs to be handed out. It takes a really long time. We often find ourselves putting our investigator's hat on or our detective hat on, and we spend a lot of time dwelling on the past, because in a judicial system what we do as individuals is build cases. So our students start to build a case because they're trying to mitigate the potential of a negative outcome upon themselves, and they encourage us to go back further and further and further with statements like, that's because he, well that's because she, and we end up going back sometimes many years into their lives. It's an incredible drain on your time. What if we said we're not going to spend so much time on the past? What if we said that our methodology for student behaviour infractions is going to be around going past, present, future as quickly as we possibly can? What if we said, okay, let's get a rough idea. I often call it a gist. Let's get a gist of what happened. Let's explore the harm of the way that's making people feel, and let's as quickly as possible come to potential actions that could repair some of that harm. That's that restorative methodology. But it's a restorative methodology done nimbly. And what I want you to do is to think about how much time you're spending on the past at the moment, and could you actually minimise that, not by taking on 3 times the work and going past, present, future, but by saying if we adopt that methodology, we could move in a swift resolution towards an action that actually makes a difference. So student behaviour is one way that I believe in schools we could tackle the huge task of finding some extra time. Here's another way. Think about your meetings. Think about the way that we schedule our meetings and the purpose that sits behind those meetings. Think about the habit of those meetings and the fact that so many of them seem to happen these days around a table with chairs. People sit down, we talk about problems, we talk about the things that could potentially be connected problems, and before you know it, we weren't particularly productive. One of the pieces of research that I found recently that's incredibly clever was that meetings can be cut almost in half in terms of their time and getting to the same resolution point as if we were sitting down, as if we go for a walk. I wonder if you could think about running a standing up meeting. I wonder if you could think about running a walking meeting and just looking at the levels of productivity that happen when we get out of a closed space where habits of bringing in distraction have become normalised, and get out into an open space where moving forward has not only been the intention of the meeting, but it's implied in the way that we're collaborating as well. 2 things that you could do to create just a little more time in the school schedule that you could use to focus on the things that you know are incredibly important to your purpose and your school's success trajectory.